Thanks for tuning in to the Women's Vibrancy Code, a podcast dedicated to helping women move from exhausted to energized, balance their hormones, and feeling turned on by their life, their lover, and themselves. I'm your host, Maraya Brown. I'm a Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, midwife, mom, keynote speaker, and self-made entrepreneur. I'm the founder of my signature program, the Women's Vibrancy Code. So sit back, relax, and let's chat about your energy, hormones, libido, and embracing your feminine power. Oh, and you might want to have pen and paper to take some notes on some of these episodes. All right, so let's talk about estrogen, let's talk about progesterone, and let's talk about testosterone and go through some of those symptoms that you're like, how do I know? Okay, especially for those of you in that 35 years to 55-year-old range. Perimenopause starts as early as age 35, and it ends once you've gone 12 months of not having a menstrual bleed. But there are a lot of kind of vague symptoms that are showing up where women go, I don't even know what this is and nobody's taught me. And we can do our best as clinicians to order some hormone testing to give us some information to go off of. Now, is it best to order blood testing or the Dutch test through urine, or some are doing saliva testing? For me, I generally still order the Dutch plus test. If you're going to do blood testing, and for the Dutch test, both of them really need to be between day 18 and 22 of your menstrual cycle. And that becomes a little bit problematic if you're having irregular bleeding, because you don't know when you're on day 18 to 22. And part of the reason you're having irregular menstrual cycles is because your hormones are becoming a little bit erratic and you're ovulating more erratically. And so I like to say, let's look at a mixture. Okay, can we look at some quantifiables with your hormones, your adrenals, and your gut microbiome mixed with some of the symptoms that will often show up? Okay, let's start with estrogen. Okay, so signs and symptoms of too much estrogen. Okay, breast tenderness is often a sign of estrogen excess, although I have some clients who have added on progesterone. And what we know about progesterone and what it does to receptors to estrogen, they've had some breast tenderness and they go, well, what is going on here? And I think about pregnancy is a time where we have more breast tenderness, and that's a progesterone dominant time in pregnancy, but it also elevates estrogen. So anyway, breast tenderness, I'm generally going to think excess estrogen. Okay. Breast fullness, fibroids. Okay. Those are all I'm going to think of with excess estrogen. Heavy bleeding, pelvic cramps, really crampy menstrual cycles, unexpected uterine bleeding. So having kind of haphazard spotting, I'm generally thinking what's going on with potentially too much estrogen. And hot flashes are generally associated with too little estrogen. But sometimes if you've added bioidentical and it's pushed it too much, or you're on some type of hormone replacement therapy, sometimes hot flashes can come in as well. And then impatience with not quite having a really clear mind. Brain fog is generally associated with lower estrogen, but sometimes if you've added too much too fast, there can be a bit of feeling impatient with a clear mind. Anyway, too little estrogen would definitely be hot flashes, warm rushes, night sweats, having a racing mind at night. So like one of the things that I've been struggling with, I'm 46 at this point, my menstrual cycles are still regular, but I'll have that 3 a.m. wake up, which I think what's happening is my estrogen is dropping. So my body is kind of going into a response where it's triggering the response and the production of cortisol and adrenaline. Okay. I'm not having a hot flash. I'm not feeling warm. I'm not sweating, but it is a modified hot flash where the body's responding to the drop in estrogen. It could also be blood sugar dysregulation. But then what happens is I wake up and my body's tired, but I have a racing mind because now I've had this surge of cortisol and adrenaline, and my liver needs to go into action to help get that off. So that 3 to 4 a.m. wake up with a racing mind and tired body, I think adrenals, I think blood sugar dysregulation for the 24 hours leading up, but definitely low estrogen. If you start having discomfort during intercourse, either on the skin or deep inside, I'm generally thinking low estrogen. Fatigue or reduced stamina can be associated with low testosterone, but also low estrogen. Mental fogginess, like I mentioned, brain fog, forgetfulness, can't place words, like just a little bit of a veil between you and that clarity, that's usually low estrogen. Um, Decreased libido, so a decreased sense of sensuality or desire. Or sometimes women will say that there's a veil between vaginal sensations, and it's almost like a numbing effect. I generally think of lower estrogen. Recurrent bladder infections or new bladder sensations, UTIs, that kind of thing, I'm generally thinking low estrogen. And sometimes women will have episodes of a rapid heartbeat, palpitations, weight gain in the thighs, hips, and butt. Interestingly enough, the low estrogen can cause this, the palpitations, but also the weight gain specifically in the thighs, hips, and butt can be associated with excess estrogen as well as too little. But I'm definitely thinking of that area of the body associated with estrogen, as well as how we're detoxifying the estrogen. And then vaginal dryness, but also dry skin, dry eyes. As estrogen goes down, collagen goes down as well. So sometimes the suppleness of the skin, okay? Sometimes we're more prone to injury, and then headaches or migraines, okay? So then if we go over to progesterone, let's talk about too little or too much when it comes to progesterone, okay? Too little progesterone, one of the top things, it would be sleep disturbances and anxiety. Okay, for a woman who is simply not producing enough progesterone, often help bring that progesterone up and she's sleeping like a baby again. The anxiety, the irritability, the mood stuff can definitely be associated with too little progesterone. Okay, now why are we producing not enough progesterone? Often it's because we're not ovulating as often or as strongly. Maybe you have a B vitamin deficiency. Maybe there's a gut dysbiosis, right? There's a lot going on. Breast tenderness can sometimes be associated with progesterone as well, either too little or too much. Decreased libido can be associated with too little progesterone, and just a general difficulty of relaxing. Generally, like there's this increased feeling, okay? Like that's a feeling. Do you like it? But just a woman who has a hard time unwinding, I definitely think of, ooh, your body needs that a little bit of extra progesterone. Water retention can be associated with progesterone, both too little and too much. Irregular menstrual cycles are definitely associated with too little progesterone, as well as too little estrogen, and honestly, too much estrogen. And then PMS is another one. So, along with the anxiety and the irritability and the difficulty relaxing and sleep disturbances, all of that is associated with PMS. Now, too much progesterone, sometimes a woman will say she feels drowsy, she's feeling sad, struggling with dizziness, waking up in the morning feeling groggy. There's a sense of physical instability. And then also with progesterone, sometimes I'll think of discomfort in the body. Okay. And then also like restless leg or cramps, but that, my first go-to with that would be magnesium. Okay. Then we talk about testosterone. Okay. Testosterone too little is going to be decreased libido. Not testosterone is associated with our sense of strength. Okay. So if we have healthy testosterone levels, we're feeling confident, we're feeling strong, we're feeling like we have muscle tone, we're feeling energetic, we're feeling confident, we have a strong sense of libido. And so if testosterone's too low, we might have a lack of confidence, okay? Decrease in sense of assertiveness, okay? We might start feeling not so strong. Our muscle tone is going down, so that kind of flabbiness underneath the arms that can show up. There is when there's too much testosterone, there can be a bit of aggressiveness that's associated with it. And the other thing I want you to know is testosterone can be related to body hair. So if you're having the increased hair on the mustache, jawline, nipples, abdomen, there's some racial groups that are more likely to have more hair, such as Italian, Mexican, some Asian descent, but also it can be associated with testosterone specifically. So if testosterone is low or high, sometimes a woman will be noticing increased hair along the mustache jawline, as well as cystic acne along the face. That can be associated with testosterone. And then testosterone is going to give a sense of safety, right? So if we have healthy testosterone, we've like got this, we can protect ourselves, we still feel safe. Whereas as testosterone goes down, there might be a sense of just not quite feeling so secure or so safe. And then when there's too much excess aggressiveness, like I said, cystic acne, you've got the real excess of hair growth. Sometimes skin will end up being real oily. A woman might have been diagnosed with PCOS historically, but if you're adding or thinking about adding bioidentical testosterone or supplements that are going to support testosterone, these are all just signs and symptoms to think about. And with all of this, it's not just what are your overall levels, but what is the relationship between the estrogen and progesterone, right? So you can have excess estrogen because it's too high. You can also have excess estrogen because progesterone is too low in relationship to the estrogen, okay? We can have excess estrogen and your body's not getting rid of it in a more healthy way, or detoxifying or methylating, and that's going to change how the symptoms are presenting. Same with testosterone, right? So if it's going down that pathway more towards something called DHT, it's going to increase kind of the not so great symptoms of excess testosterone, even if testosterone isn't actually too high. So a couple key pointers just of things to start. Obviously, I'm not your provider. I don't know you. This is always something for you to really have a personalized approach with someone who knows your specific scenario. Obviously, hopefully is ordering good labs. If it's blood work, it's really got to be done at a specific time in your menstrual cycle. I like the Dutch Plus test. It's still the test that I order for everyone. It's not perfect, particularly for that 35 to 55 age range when our hormones change a lot and might be very drastically different 1 month to 3 months later. But it's still what I think is the best on the marketplace. So we can see the adrenals, we can see the organic acids, and have an idea of what's going on with the estrogen, the progesterone, testosterone, and what your body's doing with it. And then obviously looking at gut microbiome. So the GI map is the test that I'm going to order. So if you're finding a provider, hopefully it's a provider that listens to you, you feel heard, you feel seen. They're looking at actual quantifiables, not just shooting darts in the dark. And they're paying attention to these symptoms. If any of these you can relate to, you're kind of going, oh, fascinating. This is what might be going on. Now, solutions. If it's estrogen, start with a phytoestrogen rich diet. The beauty of phyto, meaning plant estrogen, are the estrogens that are coming from our plants. If your estrogen's too low, phytoestrogens are going to help increase that. If your estrogen is too high, phytoestrogens are going to come in and help lower them. Okay, what are examples? Organic ground flax, primrose oil, what's the other one that I always think of? I'm having a brain fog for a second. I need some estrogen. So ground flax, primrose oil, and red clover would be the three that I think of most often. Sometimes clients will add in DHEA, which comes from the adrenals, but it is a precursor to estrogen and progesterone. Sometimes women will add in Praeria mirifica as a supplement, right? And then there's always the possibility of getting some bioidentical estrogen or biased, okay? For progesterone, if it's too low, we're looking for methylated B vitamins to support progesterone production. We're wanting quality sleep. Sometimes wild yam cream can be really helpful for that scenario. It's really rare that I see women with too much progesterone. Generally, it's because they've been on a history of too many pharmaceutical progestins. So like your birth control, your Depo, your arm implant, your Mirena IUD, those are all progestin which is kind of like progesterone in the uterus, but it's not like progesterone in the rest of the body. Or if you have been given a prescription for actual progesterone, generally that's going to be the kind of cause of excess progesterone, but it's pretty rare that I see that. And then with testosterone, if we're wanting to increase it, we need to get quality sleep. We want to do weight-bearing exercises, sometimes maca added into your smoothies, sprinkled on top of your oatmeal, however you want to bring it in, can help promote healthy testosterone levels. There are some other supplements out there, but let's leave that for now. And then there's always the possibility of getting some bioidentical testosterone. It's a little bit sticky. In Europe, there's a patch that's approved for women. In the US, you really do need to go through a compounding pharmacy. I'll tell you right now, I'm not a fan of pellets. It's too haphazard. I've worked with too many people that are just having a horrible experience with testosterone pellets. Once they're put in, you're stuck for 3 months. I would much rather you have a very gentle, personalized approach when it comes to testosterone creams. And then you are really needing to test testosterone levels to make sure that they don't get too high. All right. I think that's fun. Quick, simple, easy, and hopefully helpful. For everyone, once again, if you're watching this in Facebook, please do comment. Please do ask your questions. Let me know if you're like, wow, I think I've realized that I have too much or too little of my estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. I didn't ever think of it this way. And let me know what it is that you're going through. If you're listening in the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast on whatever podcast platform you use, you're welcome to reach out. Yeah, really, truly fill out the form, grab the adaptogen elixir recipes, apply for a call. Let's see what we can do between me and the team to support you. And I want you to know that there is a myriad of options, anything from a membership that's only $200 a month up to retreats and VIP packages that go all the way up to like $40,000 for a 6-month package and everything in between. I have a team of master coaches that include me, a team dietitian, a team sexologist, a mindset coach, and a trauma release specialist, as well as an amazing community of other women that are going through this, so you don't feel so alone. I just want you to know that there are a lot of solutions out there, particularly if you're saying, I don't just want another prescription. I want to feel heard. I want to feel seen. I don't want to feel so alone. I want to be taken seriously with these symptoms and my struggle. I've got you. The team have got you. And just want you to know that there are a lot of options out there. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you for being willing to learn and continue to dig into what might be going on in my body. And cheers to your sense of vitality and overall wellness. I really do appreciate each and every one of you and the opportunity for me to give my gifts and all of my education. Okay, ciao, ciao.